So I just want to thank you for including this, Mr. Chairman, and also just mention very briefly, I'm very pleased we were able to reach agreement to extend the incentives for advanced biofuels, the refueling infrastructure for alternative vehicles. I'm hopeful we're going to have agreement today on the energy efficient homes and buildings initiatives and the renewable energy production tax credit. And with so many things that are important here in the bills, let me also just thank you for including our bipartisan effort on conservation easements, the research and development tax credit, and the new markets tax credit. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I also want to comment on the extending tax provisions that are also helping our economy grow: the wind production tax credit, the low-income housing tax credit, the new market tax credit, the biodiesel tax credit, the Veterans Work Opportunity Tax Credit, R&D. All of these things are so essential for businesses to have predictability and to basically leverage further private sector investment. Businesses plan ahead, and so that means they need the certainty to do so.
A strong, vibrant, renewable energy sector is good for jobs and economic growth. It's also vital for American security to foster the growth of homegrown fuels and energy. Due to both economic and security reasons, I'm pleased that the chairman included the biodiesel credit in his original mark and has accepted my amendment to extend the wind production tax credit to a modified mark.
But I particularly want to just say thanks for including the extension of the wind production and the investment tax credits for with the commencement of construction language. It's really important if we're going to actually have a successful launch of offshore wind industry in this country. I think we can do better. I filed a couple of energy amendments that I want to work on with the chairman and the ranking member in the future. The first amendment, which I've joined with Senators Brown, Cardin, and Menendez, my wingman right here and on this side of our aisle, but extends the investment tax credit to projects, this is offshore wind, projects that generate the first 3,000 megawatts of offshore wind in this country. This is similar to legislation offered in the last Congress with our colleague Susan Collins. It provides more certainty to an industry that's just beginning to bubble up in this country.
I want to say first that I'm very pleased that the modified mark contains a 2-year extension of the wind production tax credit. This is vitally important to Colorado. We've got upwards of 5,000 jobs in our state. Vestas alone, for example, employs over 1,400 workers across 4 factories in my state. We are bringing work from offshore to the United States as a result of this PTC. They've already hired 400 new workers just this year, with another 450 projected to be added before the end of 2014. The PTC clearly is helping drive not just economic growth, but job growth and wage growth in our state.
And finally, I am pleased that the legislation today includes a 2-year extension of the wind production tax credit. I have an amendment later that speaks to how we move forward on that issue, but I appreciate your leadership, Mr. Chairman, and that of Ranking Member Hatch, and thank you for working together to make today's markup possible.
Today we're here to talk about important tax provisions that help create jobs and help create investment in our economy. And we're here to provide predictability and certainty to businesses. So I think it's absolutely essential that we figure out market-friendly, cost-effective ways to transition to cleaner, more diversified, distributed energy, and solar projects like many infrastructure-intensive projects require significant lead time in order to produce financing, get permits, hire workers, and ultimately become operational. To get there, private sector needs certainty and the blueprint to unleash the innovation, and we're seeing a lot of innovation in clean energy. In fact, in 2007, global investment in clean energy topped $100 billion, with solar leading the way. So those important investments continue to need the credits to play an important role in market efficiencies. I believe that we need to focus on developing new ideas, investing in cutting-edge technologies, and establish the leadership here in the United States in clean energy technology. To continue to do this, we need to continue to innovate. In 2012, a national report showed that China advanced to become the world leader in clean energy investment, attracting $65 billion. And the United States, on the other hand, saw a decline of 37% in this clean energy investment. At least 83 countries, 41 developed or transition countries, have policies to promote generation from new and renewable technologies. And these global market opportunities are opportunities for U.S. products. So this isn't just about the United States producing new solar generation here that helps power lower cost of energy. It's about whether we're going to win in the global marketplace with U.S. technologies. If the U.S. hopes to remain globally competitive in the clean energy sector, we must invest more, not withdraw investment. So that is why I've worked with my colleagues, particularly Senator Bennet, on a policy to help us move forward. We drafted an amendment that I believe is germane to the bill today and would help us with new construction in several states that would increase generation, I think, to cover something like 600,000 new homes and a total of 270,000 new megawatts of generation. So we certainly think this is an important issue to consider, and I'd like to turn to my colleague, Senator Bennet, for his comment.
Essentially, what our amendment would do would be would allow developers who qualify for the Section 48 investment tax credit to claim the credit, provided they have commenced construction on their projects before the credit's expiration. Currently, a project must be placed in service in order to claim the credit. In our view, the placed in service requirement makes it difficult to complete projects that often take several years to finance, permit, and construct. For all the reasons that Senator Cantwell has said, this is vital to our competitiveness, is vital to our building America's energy future.
I imagine, as I used to be called the father of the wind energy tax credit, I suppose now I'm the grandfather of the wind energy tax credit. But so you wouldn't be surprised if I strongly oppose this suggestion by Senator Toomey. I'm obviously sympathetic to the argument that the tax code has gotten too cluttered with too many special interest provisions. That's the reason many of us have been clamoring for tax reform for years now. But just because we haven't cleaned up the tax code in a comprehensive way doesn't mean that we should pull the rug from under our domestic renewable energy producers. Doing so would cost jobs, harm our economy, the environment, and our national security. The wind energy today supports 80,000 American jobs, 7,000 in my state of Iowa. The tax incentive has spurred $105 billion of private investment since 2005. The proponents of this amendment want to have this debate in a vacuum. It shouldn't be held in a vacuum. We ought to do it with regard for many incentives and subsidies that exist for other sources of energy and our permanent law. I authored this in 1992, and when we did it, we knew that it was not going to be forever. It's going to be phased out when it's a mature industry, and it's getting close to that now. In 2012, the wind energy was the only industry to put forward a phase-out plan, but any phase-out must be done in the context, get this, in the context of comprehensive tax reform where all energy tax provisions are on the table, and it should be done responsibly over a few years to provide certainty and ensure a viable industry. So I oppose the amendment.
What this does, it proposes a 5-year phase-out of the Section 45 production tax credit as it relates to electricity from wind. The chairman's modified mark does include the 2-year extension of the wind PTC that expired at the end of last year, which I support. But I intend to withdraw this amendment, but I'm offering it because I think it's time that we have an earnest conversation about the wind PTC going forward and what we intend to do. And I would point out that it has been very successful since father or grandfather Grassley authored this back in 1992. We have now the wind that's being generated in this country, 35% of it in the last year of all new power capacity, I should say in the last 5 years, has been from wind. And in my state of South Dakota, we rank only second to Iowa. 26% of our electricity generated is from wind energy. And according to the American Wind Energy Association, there are over 550 U.S. facilities that manufacture for the wind industry in this country. And average annual private investment in wind has been about $18 billion annually over the past 5 years. So it's not a nascent industry. It is maturing. It's generating billions of dollars in revenue and powering the equivalent of more than 15 million American homes, which is something that we ought to celebrate. But I think we also have to ask the question of how long a federal subsidy is necessary and how do we begin the transition away from more than 2 decades of taxpayer support. When we considered this in August of 2012, a 2-year extension of the PTC was the second largest business tax extender at about $12 billion. This time around it's $13 billion. We know that's only going to grow as we move forward. And so my view on this is fairly straightforward, and that is rather than seeing this subsidy end abruptly due to cost concerns, as we've seen with past renewable energy credits, let's come up with a predictable and sensible phase-out plan that provides more certainty to wind developers and utilities with a better value for the taxpayer.